Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Track Girl Summer, presented by World's Greatest. I've been saying host, but we're co-hosts. So I am your co-host, Natasha Hastings, and this is my co-host, Kori Carter. Follow us on all the things.
I think you're still a host.
Yeah, we are, but
You're one of the two hosts.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too technical. It's day 13, y'all. We made it to the end. Follow me, Natasha Hastings, Instagram, Twitter, IG, YouTube. Follow the Kori Monster, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Follow World's Greatest. Are you on Facebook? I don't know, girl. Leave me alone.
No, I'm looking at you crazy because you don't ever remember.
Oh, the jingle. It's day 13. Well, let me just finish this line and then we'll get into the jingle. Follow World's Greatest, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and then now let's get into it.
Track Girl Summer. Track Girl Summer. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's the most important part of the day.
So I would say we'll be streaming every day, but we streamed every day.
We've been strummed.
For 13 days.
Cecelia's in the building.
Cecelia's in the building on time. We've been doing predictions, event recaps. Today is pretty much just going to be a recap. Like I said, we're going to take a little break, but we'll be back in a couple of days. But Auntie needs to catch her breath.
I fully intend on going into a coma for a good 72 hours. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We're gonna have fun, and today's gonna be way more interactive. We're going to have you guys participate a lot more, do the show for us. So hopefully you have your questions ready and, can hop on just like the rest of our guests, and we'll have a good time.
Yes, today we're recapping the games, but it's about you. We're bringing culture to track and field. I've said it over and over. We're fans of the sport, but we're fans of the people. So that means the people that also support our sport. So if you want to come on and talk to us, don't be shy. Be respectful. This is a family show.
And you guys know I will fight you. Natasha is getting her voice back.
It's slowly coming back, Bob. Slowly.
She stayed up for the tea that I made her.
I did stay. I didn't fall asleep on the tea last night.
So we're good. But yeah.
So no guests today, just us, you guys, and I guess we should get into it. Oh yeah, the tweets. If there's any videos that come up on the screen, click that so you can see the playback. And let's get into it.
Yeah, y'all been rolling with us for 13 days. Like, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get into the fit checks. Today we're comfy and cozy.
Real comfy.
Just a little grout fit outfit.
Same.
The headband, we know we love to support Black business. It's called Wrap Life. You can go to the website, but also they're on Amazon. And, on the shoes, just a little heat, something slight, little frog moment. Last day had to bring out the real fire. The headband is Wrap Life. Can you find there's a tag somewhere that has like the name? It's Wrap Life.
I don't see a tag, but
there's a tag somewhere. Wrap Life. I'll put it in our stories.
Okay. I am rocking some.
Are you rocking? Or are you just holding up a shoe that you own?
I'm holding up the shoe that I own. I actually wore these another day, but I remember today that these are actually the Women's Day Curry shoes. And in celebration of the women that we're going to talk about today, I was like, oh, this is perfect because that's one of my favorites. Without getting too into it, there's a reason for the purple shoes today.
Thanks, Nicole A. I appreciate you saying that you did a good job. You're doing a good job. Yeah, it's been fun though. I've been Natasha gets on this show every day and complains it's like we tired, y'all, and we are. But I love it.
I love it too.
And it's our last time getting it popping with Olipop.
Are we doing a toast today with the Olipop pop?
Huh? Oh yeah. I got the special fancy glasses from your cabinet, and I closed the cabinet after I opened it. Look at that.
Kori has this thing where she goes into cabinets and leave them open, and it drives me
The thing is
nuts.
ADHD.
And I'm like, please close the cabinets or doors.
I've been working though.
You've been
Things
better.
have been closed.
You've been better.
But I like to take a Bruno Mars approach to life. I'ma leave. I can't see, but I'm gonna leave the door open. Cheers.
To a successful.
May your always pop, and your co-host always be me.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
That's good.
I think Bob asked what was our favorite flavor.
I like cherry vanilla. I also like the orange one.
I like
fruit base.
Root beer.
Okay. Are y'all gonna address them taking forever to breathe? Yes, get that girl water and ice. She was laid out asking for it. I think I need to look it up. Because we didn't have any laps she did, but then I saw a number. I forgot to write it down. Someone wrote how many meters she ran.
Oh God, I don't even want to imagine.
I'm gonna see if I can find it, but it was something stupid. I don't want to know. Honestly, she almost ran a marathon. It was cool. But the last track and it was off the track, but it's track and field.
It's still track and field.
It's still track and field. Some road running. The last event, the marathon, the men's marathon, and I always say his wrong. I was practicing it in the mirror today, and I already forgot because my brain is fried. But
Kipchoge
defended his Olympic title from Rio. I think he might be the first man to ever do that, to go back to back.
How often does that happen in the marathon of all races?
Because after one, I would just retire. She ran 24,500 meters.
That's nasty.
You know what's crazy is, like, I think I want to say what do you average in a week?
That's funny because I love getting the question because it's like if I do, especially this time of year, if I do like 800 meters at a practice, that's like a lot. That's exaggerating.
But like in fall, let's just say we're doing fall training, right?
Fall training, I probably get up to like maybe a little under 2 miles per workout.
Okay.
Or close to 2 miles.
Yeah, that's about right.
All in the fall training, but like now it would be like under 1,600 meters. Sometimes 800 meters, depending on
if you're doing like 2 and 3.
The intensity of it, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like on a hard workout day, like I'll get up to 4,000, 5,000. Like if we're doing like, let's say 4,000 probably is like the most. Like if we're doing 4 times or 10 times 400. That's 4,000 meters.
You do 10 times 400?
That's one of my favorite workouts. I used to do that in college. Or sometimes we used to do like a 1,200 to get you tired, and then you do 8 times 400.
The last time I had 10 times 400, I was 10 years old. I peed myself, and my mom snatched me up. I don't even think I made it through the 10. But my mom was on her way home not home, but she was on her way from work to pick me up from practice. So it was in Brooklyn, and my mom worked in Manhattan. And she got to the track and she said, "What is this workout?" No, she's not doing that. Meanwhile, I'd already peed myself.
Wait,
I was 10.
How I need to was he like no bathroom breaks? Because when I'm working out, like I have to pee, but then
I peed myself on my way to the bathroom.
Because you didn't have enough legs to get there.
I think I did like 3 or 4 400s. Needless to say, my mom took me off the team that day and put me on another team. But yeah, that was the last time I ever heard 10 hundreds.
I love 10 times 100. And like you would do it, the way you would do it is you'd have to get like a half a second. You go slow. Mm-hmm. But every 400 gets a half a second faster per 100. So you're dropping like 2 seconds per every time you go. Mm-hmm. But you start at like 78, and then you get there, you're down to like 60. So you're not going crazy fast, but I love just like tempoing it out. Someone says it was the third time. Go up. Someone said it was the third time someone's done that double. So maybe, and that also makes sense because if you are crazy enough to do a marathon at that level, like you probably, love doing it. There's not a lot. I don't know. The marathon is none of my business.
I don't know. You out here running 10 400s. It might be.
You want to know why? You want to know why I couldn't do a distance event? It's because of my ego. Because think about you fall back, right? And you've got 10 more miles to go and there's no chance of you winning. And you just have to keep going for 10 more miles.
I honestly thought about that when they were talking about rep. And like the race was over and I was like, so you're still running and like there's no like.
And like, yeah, we run for the love of the sport and I just didn't. No, I run to win. No.
Okay.
Like, and like if I'm gonna lose, I'm losing for 15 seconds at max, And in my crazy mind, during those 15 seconds, I still think I can come back. But
so you would have walked off the trail?
No, I would finish, but I would never do it again. I'm gonna tell you another story because we got 2 hours to fill and then no guests. I did cross country. I won cross country workout. One, because I told you I started as a 15-8 girl. So my dad was like, Kori needs to be running with the distance girls.
Oh, God.
And we did 7 miles. And for some reason, I was leading the pack. And I was in front of everybody on the way back home. And I looked up behind me and no one was there. They had taken a shortcut and didn't tell me and cut through someone's yard. And I was like, I'm out here by myself, tired. What if someone tried to come get me and I had no backup? And that was the last time I trained with the Claremont High School track cross country team.
Listen, you said that the cross country team played you. You didn't tell me. You didn't finish the story. Either you didn't finish the story or I wasn't listening.
I didn't finish the story.
Okay, because I totally missed that they took a shortcut on you. I thought you just got your butt whipped.
No, I actually was leading the workout.
Yeah, because nobody was there.
No. I was leading it from jump. I actually have a lot of good. I had the fastest time. And when I did it. Okay. And the coach was like, "Why isn't Kori doing cross country?" And I was like, "I'm not doing." Don't ask my dad. Dad, if you're here, call in, and we're gonna have him on as a guest.
I was leading the workout, yeah, because it was just you.
That's not what happened, Tasha.
All right, back to this marathon.
No, you got me upset because now I was actually good at distance. I just didn't like it.
Okay. So the silver.
That's the Lord. He don't like you.
It is. The silver medal was won by Abdi Nagay of the Netherlands in 2:09:58.
We're still doing the marathon.
And the bronze, that's why I was like, let's get back to the marathon.
You definitely did not do silver and bronze. You're right.
The bronze was Bashir Abdi So Abdi, what? Nah. Let me go back to Google.
What are you talking about?
So the silver medalist, his first name is Abdi, and then the bronze medal, his last name is Abdi. Is that a mistake?
Did you look? You did this. This was you did the. This is the first time you did the results, and it's actually right. You're right, Abdi and Abdi.
It is okay.
But what was cute? It was 4th place.
Oh, they're both Somalian. Okay.
4th place was Lawrence Cherono from Kenya, and at the end, Abdi was like, he was running, and I'm like, I'm tired, and he was like, come on, and I was like, that's not even your same country, and he was like, come on, we beat this Kenyan, and I was just like, dang, but now that I know it's Abdi to Abdi. Like, now that I know it's Abdi, love, because I was like, if I'm doing 26.2 miles, I love encouraging my friends. I was like, he was like, come on, Abdi, we beat this Kenyan. And they hugged after. I said, look at best friend goals. Because you risking him, the Kenyan get a little giddy up while you over here trying to and just blowing past you.
I'm done. Apparently, they trained together in the past.
I
Hey,
like
AI.
that.
All right, and then
I wish I would during a 400 hurdles be like, come on.
you ain't got to worry about that from me. And then honorable mention, Galen Rupp of Team USA was 8th in 2:11:41.
This man ran 26.2 miles in 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 38. And you keep talking about I haven't done. You know what? You keep being like, I've never done 12 days or 13 days in a row of something. You know who wakes up every morning and runs is these marathon runners.
Yeah, and that's why I have no interest in the marathon.
We're tired because we're doing a 2-hour show. You want to run for 2 hours straight?
I have no shame in it. None. None.
What are your thoughts about the marathon? I'm gonna ask. I want someone to come on and break it down for us because Lord knows what's the longest you've ever run?
The longest is 3 miles. I actually did cross country in high school.
Oh,
Um,
it was probably those 7 miles I did with them girls.
yeah, I would hope so. I hope you haven't run anything longer than that. But our cross country meets where the race was 3.1 miles, and but even though I ran cross country, we still kind of like trained like we would do repeat 400s. I don't think I ever went over 600s, even though I was running cross country.
Yeah.
Um,
In my teenage angst,
mhm.
when I would like, no one understands me, mom and dad, I would go for a run. I would go for a light.
Yeah, I'd go for like a 20-minute run, but it's
Yeah.
still like 2 miles. What you hitting, like 4 miles in 20 minutes?
I could probably hit a good 3.
I'm done.
Don't play me.
It's like sprinting for yeah.
Look. Let's get first off. I hate this. This is
What do you hate?
so
You hate losing?
yeah. Well, first we'll get into the medal count because I feel like I was part of Team USA. I didn't help at all with any of this, but when it came to the medal count for track field, the United States on top. We got 7 gold medals. Italy had 5 gold medals. Kenya had 4. Poland had 4 instead of Jamaica. But we had 26 medals overall. Kenya had 10 overall. Poland and Jamaica had 9 overall. So
That's in athletics. I know overall, like China's winning the gold medal count, and Team USA
this
winning.
is track girl summer, not Olympic girl summer.
I
So
mean, but
maybe
it's still the Olympics. It's still, when you're in the village, you're still cheering on the other sports, and like that's actually some of the coolness of it too. Like being in the village, you get to meet athletes from other sports.
Aisha said USA won on all counts, and if I'm going to be honest, I trust Aisha way more than I trust you.
The shade.
Well, I'm just saying Aisha's never been wrong.
Yeah, no, Aisha, I'm not talking about athletics. I'm talking about the overall games, all teams combined.
I think that's what she's saying.
Oh, that must have happened overnight because the last time I checked last night, China was leading. I'm just saying, I didn't check it this morning, but last night China.
Well, maybe you
was
should
leading.
check it before you start giving out facts.
All right. Sorry.
Before Aisha got to check you.
USA got 1 more gold than China.
US
women's volleyball came through. Shout out to the women, always doing it.
But that was our first indoor volleyball gold for the US, I think. Also, did anyone watch this for the US women's basketball game? I just was like, this wasn't fair for the gold against Japan because I think the average
Shout out to Dawn Staley.
The average for the starting lineup, the average height for the US was 6'2". And I think it was like 5'9" for Japan. And I was just like, if I have to go up against Brittany Griner,
yeah,
and Ajay Wilson, but the other Ajay Wilson, and Sue Bird and Diana, like, leave me alone.
Yeah,
it wasn't fair. It's
actually kind of funny to watch, but
how many blocks did they have during that game? Because I saw like 3 in the first 5 minutes. Those girls just were balling. And speaking of balling, Natasha won the hustle clean prediction.
I knew I would.
She got 29 points and I got 26. I mean, you've been in this game a little bit longer, so you should know what's going on.
Respect your elders, young man.
I respect my very much elders every time. And her name is not Asia, not like Ajay. Well,
And I should know that she's a gamecock. It's
Here's the
too
thing.
many.
Too many people.
Ajay.
Everyone mispronounced. Even last night, you were mispronouncing Ajay's name. So if
I
I wanted to mispronounce other people's name and say it Ajay's way,
no.
if I have to hear Aj one more time, I'm gonna fight someone. These commentators, they can figure out everyone else's name, but my best friends.
All right. Okay.
I don't know why I'm like this today. I'm gonna calm it down.
You sure?
No, but it's nice to dream, to hope, to strive for something better.
Well, let's talk about how I whooped your butt in these predictions, though.
You had help.
Did I?
Yeah.
All right, I did. Even though most times I had to like listen to my the fights in the first 20 minutes, my favorite show. Even though I had to like compromise and sometimes go against my own judgment, especially that men's 200.
We really once again, I apologize to Andre. We had you on the podium. We just didn't put you in with a medal, but we knew you were on the podium.
Snoop needs a full commentating gig, killing it with Kevin Hart.
They're really funny. Have you been seeing those clips?
Yeah. What was the final count, Kori?
I already said it. If you didn't pay attention, that's on you, Natasha.
Oh, you coming at Aisha like that? Aisha asked, not me.
Oh. Well, Aisha should know because I feel like Aisha has all the stats anyways. But it was 29-26.
How did you score the points?
You got 3 points for a correct gold, 2 points for a correct silver, and 1 point for a correct bronze.
Yeah. Next time we're gonna have to work something else out though.
Well, when you come up with a system, Natasha,
you're right.
We'll do your system.
You're right. I don't have a system. Maybe the people can give us a system. Which, by the way, if anybody wants to come up on screen, let us know.
Well, Mike's waving. Does that mean does Mike just mean you're in the chat, or I don't know how the things work? I'm just here.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, because you could have people on the podium, but if you have them in the wrong place, wave just means you're in.
Well, then how do we know if someone wants to? Oh, Mike is trying to get on screen.
You want to get on screen, Mike?
Is Rachel trying to get on screen? Because whoever wants to come on screen, we're just living life today, letting it all go.
Today is real chill. Recapping. But if you had someone on the podium but not in the correct podium position, you get no points.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
you get points for being right in my system, yeah. Natasha.
And I was more right than you, so.
But no, I'm not a sore loser. We didn't bet anything.
We didn't.
I'll get you something.
What?
Actually, I've been giving you presents all week.
You've been making me tea.
No, you have been delighted just with spontaneous gifts all week. You open up your fridge.
There's a picture of Kori.
I've been there's one right there. Look, all throughout your house, I've been leaving you gifts, and you've been getting mad at me. But childhood pictures have been popping up
everywhere that I turn. There's a picture of Kori. I open my laptop. There's a picture of Kori. I open a cabinet. There's a picture of Kori. I can't. Aisha, you want to come on screen? Mike, you want to come on screen?
We're right. We're in the mid. Or is Texas the South or the Midwest?
I think it's considered the South, but we're in the Central time zone. Aisha said, absolutely not Southeast. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. We're in Texas.
Yeah.
Which is its own country in itself.
We're in Central Texas.
Well, we work on having someone come on to be our special guest. What we should name this something like the fan experience
of Tokyo?
Viewer call in. I don't know. Let's talk about what was your favorite moment? You have like several written down. So what was your favorite event?
My favorite event.
Cecelia, yes, there's baby Kori's all around her house, and she's not appreciative. She's not grateful.
I'm not. I had several favorite moments on and off the track. On the track, my voice is gone because of the men's and women's 400 hurdles.
Yep.
I just all the Americans like just showed up, and to see Rye, win the silver medal, go under the world record as I predicted in both events. I was like, both people are going under the world record. In the women's hurdles, though, it was cool to see that like even Bowl went under Dalila's previous world record.
And I didn't expect it to drop like that. I expected a little drop. They dropped it to the flow.
They humbled me. Okay, Sydney's world record equals my season's best over the flat 400. Okay, but overall, besides like those races being like just over the top exciting, me losing my voice, what I really appreciated, what I saw, is that track and field is getting competition now versus just pure domination.
And I feel like, you say now, but like I feel like there has been a history of like rivalries in the 90s and the 80s. But like the 2000s was like, it's the Bolt show. It's, it was like the Lashana Deem. Oh no, she had to, there was some back and forth. But yeah, I get what you're saying. There's more of like, and that's why my predictions were so off, I'm gonna say, because there was no clear winner. People were mixing it up, making it hard on me because it is so competitive. So if I agree with you, I think that's why my predictions were a little off.
Don't gaslight, okay?
Is it gaslighting if it's true? Did I lie once?
Anyway, I think it's exciting to see that, like I said, we're getting rivalries, and but particularly with the women, what was exciting to me, or what I shouldn't say exciting, what I appreciated most, especially as women, we are often pitted against one another. We here on this channel have talked about media bias and like who picks their favorite. I had my own bias where I was like, Dalila's from Rochdale, Queens. I'm from Rosedale, Queens, which is like down the street from Rochdale. Seeing how the media made its pick, like I'm going for Dalila. I want Dalila to get her world record back. But what I really appreciated was seeing both women congratulate one another and respect each other as competitors. They didn't fall into the hype of like being catty and not, I saw Dalila do a post-race interview, and she was like really congratulatory to Sydney and also proud of her performance.
Yeah.
She could have been disappointed in, not getting her medal back, all these things, I saw a comment earlier that I want to go back to at some point, but
you have the thing.
I do, but I'm just trying to get my thought out before, because the comments will throw you off.
But yeah, real recognizes real.
Yeah.
I think when you're at that level and you're doing your best, you just have to be like, yo, like you got me. Like, I don't know. And especially when it's like, I think you can get upset when it's like, I didn't have a good race and you didn't even run that fast and you beat me. All right. But how you gonna get mad at 51.4? That's just raw. Like,
yeah. I want you to say it because it's your line, but
yes, I've been saying the men running great races, fast races. The women have been making history. Every time they touch down the track, like it's something historic. We have moms, we have activists, we have the men were running world records too, but it
was just the year. If there's ever a time to be female, be woman, it's now. Like I was, as a woman, proud. As a woman, I was proud watching these games.
Dang, now I wish like I wanted to see of these of these 26 medals, how many came from the men and how many came from the women?
We can still
Can we start? Can someone
someone do
do the
that
math?
tally?
Because that's what I want to know. We're all a team, but like the women are pulling it right.
Aisha coming through with the stats, 15 for women. Oh,
15%.
Mike wants to get on screen. Okay, Mike, we're gonna work on that.
Do you want to know? You want to know my favorite?
Yeah.
Well, you already know my favorite was Allison, but this was Raven Saunders' Olympics, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
Here on Track Girl Summer, we say we bring the culture to track and field, and Raven Saunders is the culture. We had to talk about her so many times because she's so relevant to like things that like I think are so pertinent in sport right now. We talked about mental health. She has come out and said, "Hey, I went through depression and I had to pull myself out of a hole." And she said she wanted to win a medal and have this platform because the hope that it brings to people can literally save lives. She said there was actually a girl who said, "You saved my life," and she so she's an advocate for mental health. We talk about fashion. We had a fashion day. She served in those buns. She came in with those glasses. I don't know, they're Technicolor glasses. The green and purple low cut Caesar waves. She had her Joker and her Hulk mask. And she had the whole world wearing green. We talk about activism. She had the X on the podium, and the intersection of. She said that was the intersection of where all oppressed communities come, and she represents LGBTQIA plus. Black people with mental health problems. We talk about being present and enjoying the moment. She was dancing and laughing while still being a fierce competitor. She was unapologetically herself on the biggest stage. She was out there helping her teammates and enjoying the moment. We talked about mental mindset. We see that she has a whole different persona when she goes to compete. She turns into the Hulk. Everything that we have talked about, Raven has exemplified. And on top of all of that, she's dealing now with the loss of her mother. And I keep saying, like, it hurts me to the core because knowing because of the COVID, she was not able to hug her mother after getting her medal breaks my heart. Yeah. But like, even then she like put her mental health first. She said, I'm stepping off of social media to deal with my mental health because I feel like we saw how she felt like she needed to get this medal so that she could have a platform to help others, but you can't help others if you don't help yourself. And I think she probably felt obligated to like be out there and realizing like right now, like I need to take a little me time. I applaud this woman. Yeah. I applaud this woman.
Yeah. I think that goes beyond without saying. I mean, even as she was competing, like you said, like she's in her moment. First of all, she used her platform in every way that she should in terms of herself being there and enjoying the moment, making a statement, but also seeing her like take the time to cheer on her teammate.
Yeah.
While in the midst of competing for her medal. She was just all around great sportsmanlike, using her platform for good. And then it just sucks that bad things happen to good people. Like you said, to think that her mom she couldn't hug her mom after winning her medal. Like, COVID really threw out some like people couldn't bring their families. And we were all concerned about how athletes were going to fare without having that support because believe it or not, the journey does include your family and friends, your support system that took you to get there. So I know that was a tough trip for her home. But I think overall, she showed us her strength.
And she showed us her heart.
She showed us her heart, and we'll continue to pray for her. And Raven, we got you. We support you. We're behind you.
We root for you.
And you take whatever time you need to take to get through these times. But know that you're loved.
Yeah, that like the Tokyo Raven Saunders Olympics is what I'm calling it because she did
it. These comments here are running me hot.
When someone said only, I said I can't be like Ryan and deserve credit for no, that's not
No, that
that's
is
not
the
fair.
heights of disrespect. Sorry. And Yinka B, I've seen you in here several days, so I appreciate your support. But I think that is just
We were rooting for you, Yinka.
like everyone went like this is the largest stage that we could ever imagine being on. And to discredit anyone's performance because we didn't win gold, which the men did go and win gold in the 4x4, but the men were on the podium. I mean, Grant Holloway was second in the men's 110s. Fred Curley won silver or bronze.
And me, you, and Yinka are all sitting on this are sitting on a
Sitting on
couch.
this couch. Like, I'm
Like,
not going to minimize the men's performance. And here's another thing. I'm gonna you said something earlier that made me remember my experience in Tokyo. Like going to the Olympics and doing what we do, you always have to find your why, right? And I remember in Rio, I placed fourth. And I remember it was the most gut wrenching feeling. Like I felt numb. I would have preferred to come fifth or sixth. Fourth just felt like, what the hell? Like I was that close and it wasn't like a huge margin. And I remember, I saw my family. I cried my tears. I went back to the village. Michelle met me. We had dinner. We sat in silence. Like Michelle Carter.
that's what I asked, yeah.
She knew like my friend needs me, not for me to say anything, but just that she knows that I'm here. We went back to the room. I went to sleep. And the very next day I opened my phone and I saw I had thousands of messages from people around the world of talking about how much they connected with me and how much they were cheering for me and how proud they were for me. And in that moment, I was like, man, I didn't win the race on the track, but there was another race that I won. If I could be that example, I dreamt of going to the Olympics when I was 10. And for that to come into fruition, and I go out there and I gave it my best, and some little girl is able to look out there and say, hey, that girl could do it, so can I.
Mhm.
As we said, we're sitting on the couch here. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the men were disappointing. I think that the men went out there and did the best that they could. Yes, we would have liked to see them at the top of the podium, but there were some that were still on the podium. There were some, this is also a very young team. For some, this was their first Olympics. There is, the future. There's so much more to life, but I'm not gonna call them a failure.
And here's the thing, like track and field is a gamble. Like it's sports is such a unpredictable career because if I worked a regular job and it's like you sell this many what I don't know how regular jobs work, but it's like you sell these many books or whatever, these products, you're going to get a promotion if you hit these numbers. Like what I need to do in order to be successful. You need to do all these things and like you'll get promoted or you keep your
Mhm.
job. Whereas track is like you could run 51.5 and not get the gold medal. Like
It
you
took
it's it
49 to get in the 400 final. Like,
and so you do your best but like at the end of the day when you get to the competition you don't know what everyone else is bringing, and so you bring your best,
mhm,
but sometimes your best isn't good
isn't
enough,
good
and so
enough.
you have to go back on the drawing boards and say, okay, like I thought that if I ran 50.0 I would be an Olympic finalist.
Mhm.
That's not true. Now I need to make sure I run 49 if I want to be Olympic. But like you can say like historically this is what gets you into the final, and all of a sudden 8 other girls are popping off and you have no idea. I always say for the 2017 team, I said I had never broken 53 seconds before. And I said, I need to run 52 today in order to win the race. And I'm so glad I told myself that because I ran 52 that day. I got third place. That was the first time 52 usually will win the whole thing.
Mhm.
You needed to run 52 something in order to make the team. And that's what I'm saying is like there you never know what you need to bring. All you can bring is what you
And
have.
what you have. Yep.
And hopefully that's but you don't know what everyone else is bringing and that's why we race.
Mhm.
And also even if you some days you bring your best and what's you don't have it. You don't have your best in
Right.
your bag. Sometimes
I was gonna say bad days happen.
yeah, and
Unfortunately, sometimes it happens
on the
on
biggest
the
stage.
biggest stage.
There'll be days where I like feel good and I go into my bag of tricks and I reach in and I don't have my finish. And I'm like, I know I put it in here. I swear I packed it.
Where are you? What
And
happened?
I don't have a finish and I'm just struggling and it happens.
Right.
And there's a lot of factors that someone said there's too many factors into play to talk sideways about these athletes going over they're doing during a still ongoing pandemic because people couldn't train like
Yep.
they used to. People were going. How many people were in depressions? Just the general public. Athletes are normal human beings too. A lot of people were dealing with depression, not being able to see their family, and then on top of that, like I have to compete at the highest level in the entire world and be in, and train through that.
Continue to train, make sure I don't contract COVID so that I don't like there were a number of stressors on this group of athletes that went to Tokyo that no other Olympics had to experience. And every Olympic experience is different. Every world championship, every championship is a different experience. But
And to judge these athletes, I think is so unfair because we saw Jackie Joyner-Kersee cry, not because Allison won, because of what Allison has been through. And I know some things that she's been through. You know some things. A lot of people don't know what it took to get Allison, and she came out on top. But Allison is an amazing competitor, and we see. But like you don't know what these athletes are going through, and what they're bringing onto the track and having to run with, throw with, jump with, and so like it's easy to say, oh, that person choked, oh, that person didn't compete well, like you don't know how many people died from COVID this year that was in their family.
Yeah.
You don't know, like there's a lot of things that go on off the track and it affects you mentally.
And I also
and physically.
Exactly. And I said it a couple days ago. We have differing views on it, but as we said with the women's 400, like 400 hurdles, excuse me, game recognized game. And I think to say that the Americans choked is also disrespect to the other countries who, quite frankly, a lot of those other countries are some of our training partners.
Well, someone did say that they were like, one of the reasons why people are
that they
coming
do
up
well is because they're, in the
training.
NCAA system or they train over here. I mean, in my training group, we have like 3 other countries that train with us. But it's also disrespectful to the other athletes that are out there putting in hard work and it was their day. And, so I always said like, I didn't want to win a championship based on who wasn't in the race. Like I want to win the championship based on like I whooped that tail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I always say I want my competitors to have their best day. I want you to have the best year of training of your life. And I still beat you. And you have to think, dang, there was nothing more I could do.
Yeah. So I say we look at it as the sport is elevating.
Yeah. And also just like I just keep coming back to like who are we to judge these athletes? Like Whitney got on here and said she was telling everyone I'm living the dream, and she said inside I was dying inside, and I'm trying to get people to understand like the stuff you say on Twitter, on Instagram, just empty words, like they affect their real human beings to where people are unhappy. You see, Michael Phelps said he was depressed, and to anyone else, it's like you want everything. You like it's because we put our bodies and our minds through the craziest things, and still get criticized. Y'all were criticizing Simone Biles when she was winning, and then y'all can criticize her when she falters.
On the other side of the performances, there is a human being. Let's just remember that.
Doing remarkable, inhuman things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Y'all know I'm very protective of these athletes.
Same. Bob, do we have anybody that wants to come on? Oh, yes. I'm very happy for Vernon Norwood as well.
Yeah. What I would also remind people is if you're trying to get in, use a laptop or a computer. You gotta try to get on with your phone or iPad. That was from the heart.
That was deep.
That was
Don't come for Team USA.
I'll fight you. Or even anyone. Like, I don't like when they come for the other athletes either. Who is up first? I don't know. Bob? I don't know.
I think Mike said he wanted to get on camera. I want to hear, Mike L said, I want to hear what you ladies, the women's testosterone issue. Are you coming on camera to talk about it? We've talked a little bit about it, but we can
there's
talk.
Mike.
Yeah.
Adding Mike L.
Okay.
Mike better act right.
Better act right.
But I feel like Mike's coming. Don't come from the Brits. They are. You know who heavily criticized the Brits?
The Brits.
Okay, touch me there.
She's been hanging around my mom too much.
I love touch me there. That's my new thing. Mike!
Hi. Hey, what's up?
Hi, welcome to Track Girl Summer.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here.
Are you in a classroom? Are you a teacher?
This is my living room / son's playroom.
Aww. Your son is an artist.
Yeah, he's into a lot of things. He's a fun one. I mean, Natasha, you've got a kid. I'm sure you know. There's nothing bad I'm going to say about my son.
Right.
I also have a kid. I don't disrespect me.
I watch my son chew his peanut butter and jelly, and I'm like, look at how he chews his peanut butter and jelly.
Last night we're laying down.
His eyebrows are so cute.
Last night we're laying down. She's like, look at my son. He's literally just at the water park touching water. And she's like, him. And she's like, I'm so obsessed with my son. He's not doing anything. And I was like, I mean, the boy is walking on water, so he might be touched by God. But
he's the best things in the world.
Yes, I am. But Mike, what is your question?
Or comment?
Yeah, I want to comment. I mean, I think this show's amazing. It's amazing. So there's one other track person who's trying to do a show, and he's got his own thing going on, but it's a totally different experience with what you guys are doing here. You know, you've got, first of all, just the way you present the show, your setting. I have no idea, like, if that's just like one nice spot in your house or if it's perfectly set up, but you know, you make it look professional already, and then you all don't say anything, but you know, we see how you look, right? We know that's not just like you wake up and nothing. You do some work, right? You get yourself together.
Let me be very clear. I am Lena Carter's daughter, so I have no option but to be cute. That's just a fact. I'm not bragging. I just am my mother's daughter.
Same.
Hey, I'm my mother. You know, claim it. No, but yeah, comment wise, I mean, you guys, you're entertaining, but then you also have great guests. You know, you're actual athletes, so the things you're saying is not just your opinion, right? It's real. And looking at, you know, the other guy's show and your show, it's just, I gotta say, like, you know, congrats to you guys, and I hope that you can keep it going and, you know, get more people into it and get a bigger platform, because it's pretty amazing. And you're just real. I like the realness. It's really nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question wise, I want to hear as women, if you guys are comfortable or you don't have limitations what you can say, I'd love to hear more about how you all really feel about the testosterone issue with the women, because I feel like I've seen groups, like there's this whole movement that's like Save Women's Sports that's happening, and there's a woman she's really going at it, but she's going at it from like the trans side of things, but then, you know, we see the Namibians, right? Clearly, they're not just like a little better, right? Like in the 400, they blew away everybody, and the announcer was like, "This is not supposed to be happening," right? You guys touched on it a bit and said like, "Hey, I don't want to keep them out, but I don't want to run against them either." So I'd love to hear more, because I spent some time reading up. I watched some videos from doctors about this stuff. It's complicated because there really is an advantage there, but at the same time, these women, they really feel they're women. They believe they're women. They've lived as women, but maybe biologically their body technically says, no, you're not. And that's why we see the advantage. So I'd love to hear more about what you guys think.
I would like to preface this by saying, one, this is a very gray area. And like, I love black and white, so it's hard. And I would also like to say, we have a dichotic system where it's male, female, but we have seen that gender can be on a spectrum. So, you know, you have intersex athletes, you have women who have higher testosterone levels, you have women who are XX chromosome, but they have internal testes. Like, there is a lot of gray area and nuance. And I also like to say that I personally think there's a significant difference in how we approach things with a trans woman
Mhm,
who is a woman in her own right, but biologically was born with everything male,
mhm.
is different than if we're talking about someone who has higher
A cis
testosterone
woman with
levels.
higher testosterone levels.
And so I think we need to be very clear on that to start the
Mhm.
conversation. Um, w- we said this yesterday. I think this
I
was
think it was
yesterday.
yesterday.
I think it's not fair to keep these girls out of these two events and just move them down or up because one, you see like they're still good at these other events. I think the only reason why you can kick them out of the 4 and 8 is because you have data on the 4 and the 8 because that's where most of these women have been competing at. But I think it's just you're just moving that problem either down to the 2 and 1 or up to like the
So
5.
it's almost like you have to ask the question of like, are we moving you around till we can kick you out and say we have data in all of
Mhm.
these things. So now that we have the full database, you
Yes.
know what I mean?
And it's also just like, okay, like we talked about the women's basketball team, and I was like, if I had to go up against Brittany Griner, because Brittany Griner is not the size of the average woman, right?
Mhm.
There's an advantage to her height, and we saw it with these Japanese girls were getting blocked every
Yeah.
5 shots.
Yeah.
Um, but are you gonna say, well, the average height is 5'9" for women, so if you're over 5'9", you can't compete in the WNBA. Like we can't do that because
Mhm.
like that's a God given talent and like and testosterone is obviously an advantage, but it's God given, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know the answer. Like and I said like I don't want to compete that's selfishly for me being like I want to win.
Yeah.
And I just know that it would be very difficult to figure out a way how to beat them clean.
Yeah.
Um but at the same time, if I was in their shoes, I haven't done anything wrong.
Mhm.
I just am trying to compete and do the sport that I love. I'm trying to feed my family
Mhm.
and make a living for myself in something that I'm very, very good at. And we talk about how track and field takes you away from other things. So you haven't been building up your resume and other things. So if all of a sudden you can't do your sport and you were banking on running for another 5 years,
Yeah.
I don't know, Natasha, find an answer.
It's it's very hard, and I will say that prior to me starting to study, I think I had a very like cut and dry view on it, right? Where I was like, first of all, your point about transgender women versus cis women, I think are two separate things. Um, I do wonder or worry, or I shouldn't say wonder or worry. I do agree that it's like, yeah, I'm kind of like, you have a higher level of testosterone. I don't know that that's fair. But then, like I said yesterday, Michael Phelps was born with a greater wingspan that was a clear advantage for him. Maybe for some of these women,
Michael Phelps is actually part dolphin. They proved that.
but for these cis XX women who just happen to have higher levels of testosterone, maybe that's the gift that they were born with. And who are we to say? Because here's the other part of the argument that I don't think a lot of people are touching. There are men that have elevated levels of testosterone naturally. And some of them don't necessarily have an advantage over other men that have normal testosterone levels. So there's that part of the argument that it's like, yeah, there's a benefit, but for some it works, others not so much. And then the biggest piece for me, being an advocate of mental health, moving into mental health, I took a course this fall, and one of the things that like really was like a gut punch to me was, you know, women, and I'm just gonna, I hate to say like lump everyone together, but the LGBTQIA plus community is the most regulated community without having any say
Mm,
in how they are regulated. And when I learned about that, I was like, how dare I have an opinion about something that I have no idea what it's like to walk in your shoes,
mhm, mhm.
And so that kind of like stopped me in my tracks because, apples to oranges, I'm not trying to compare because they're obviously two very different, but this show is blackety black. Nobody can tell me what it's like to be a black woman in America. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I can't tell these women, how they should feel or where they should compete or where, so I don't have the answer either. It's a very nuanced topic, and I at the very core, what's important to me. I remember when Caster Semenya first came on the scene in 2009 at the World Championships in Berlin, and I remember sitting in the stands and hearing what people were saying about her. And I was a lot younger then, and all I could think was, "That's somebody's child. Why are we sitting up here talking about her like she's not a human
Talking
being?"
about her genitals like she's not a human
That's where I'm like, I can't.
being.
I'm not joining that conversation. I'm
Mhm.
not. I don't know the answer, but I will respect these women as human beings. So
Like, we don't know.
we don't know.
But
What do you think about the conversation around having like a separate category, or like, how there's currently male competition, female competition? Because I've seen them saying that there's female competition as kind of like a protected space for women, so women can compete with each other because there's certain beliefs around like the biological advantage of males, right? So do you
Yeah.
think it makes sense to have a third category, or make some adjustments within existing categories to create a space that's fair?
On the
Because
surface, my answer is yes. But then as I say yes, in the past we have seen that separate but equal doesn't necessarily exist. So how do we make it equitable for everyone? Which I think is the argument with like having them compete, against cis women, where it's like, well, it's not equitable for the cis women, right? So again, I don't know. On the
yeah,
surface, it said like, yes, it should be separate and they have their own thing, but I genuinely don't know if that's truly the answer
And then I'm
either.
wondering like what the cutoff is, because it's like I've always said, like, if you tested me in Natasha's testosterone, I would bet money that it's higher than the average woman, because there's reason why female athletes are female athletes. Like, there's
Elite
something
female athletes.
yeah, like there's something elite in our DNA. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That sounds eugenics wise, but you know what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
something that makes you exceptional, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for me, I don't know what it is, but I think it's just the fact that I'm crazy. Because I really don't have any physical like you are meant to be an athlete. But yeah, so it's like, where do you find that cutoff? And then it's like, if you have a bunch more testosterone or less testosterone, or you just have internal testes, but like you really don't have higher testosterone. Like, I don't know. What I
Mhm.
will say is I love education. A few years ago, actually, when I was driving from Kentucky to move here to Texas, I listened to this Radio Lab is this podcast that does amazing, amazing work. And they had this series called Gonads, where they broke down like how we develop and how sex develops, um, from like a biological point, but also they have like social, how it affects social issues. And they have an episode called Data. It's a 6-part series, the fifth one. I implore you to listen to the whole series. But if you want to know, there's one called Dana, and it talks about this in sports. And it's really, really interesting, and you get some actual science behind it,
Mhm.
without like the, I don't want to say bias,
Oh, it is
but
biased
like
though.
they're coming from it from a completely neutral standpoint, not from like a sports space. But
Mhm.
they are talking about its effect in sports. But it's Radio Lab.
Is this you saying the difference of sexual development is different from LGBT? Because that is very true. Sexual development is, and I didn't mean to in my statements kind of lump them all together.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we said that in the
but
beginning.
but I'm just saying that I don't know the answer to it. I don't know what the equitable answer is to it.
Cecilia, you're coming on. I'm just gonna let you know. Cecilia's coming
Come
on.
on,
It's
Cecilia.
not hard. I was nervous too.
Really,
Very nice. I
really
say I'm
enjoyed
gonna
this
fight
combo,
you.
but we want to get some more people on. Thank you for tuning in and enjoying the show. I hope you come back and we can have more conversations like this. But we want to
Yeah.
give some more folks the opportunity to come
Cool.
on and chat if
It's
they want
great.
to.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, Mike.
Thank you.
That was fun. That was
That
our
was
first. I was a little
it was a
nervous.
tough question, but
Mike was like, "I'm not gonna make it easy on you." He wasn't like, "Hey guys, what's your favorite event?"
yeah. But as we said, we are a respectable show, and We will answer your question and be as respectable as we can. Um, so yeah, and I love even in the chat. I'm kind of trying to keep up with the chat, keep up with the convo. It seems that it's remaining respectable in the chat as well. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, because no, I don't like disrespect.
We don't
I
like we don't do
like
disrespect over here. So anyone else coming on? Anyone else want to chat to us real quick? Let me pull our script back up. What else do we have to talk about?
My computer completely crashed.
Oh,
and
that's what you were over there.
I was like, what is going on?
I was like, what is she doing?
Yeah, did you shouted out the American in the throws, right? That was on the list of things to do.
Oh no, but before we get since we brought it up, in talks about the men not bringing home the gold, although they did in the men's 4x4. Shout out to the throws that I'm just like, you know what? It's exciting to see that we're moving up the ranks in the throws and starting to dominate. We had 2 medals and an Olympic medals. Olympic record.
2 medals on the men.
Men's shot put.
Don't leave out Val.
I'm not leaving out
Raven.
Val.
Okay.
Val won gold in the discus. Raven silver in the shot. Like it's always exciting to see us elevate. See Team USA elevate. Whichever.
Can I be honest? I did miss seeing Michelle Carter.
I did miss seeing my girl out there too.
Because one of my favorite moments is seeing Michelle come down, face beat, sunglasses on for the qualifying round.
It's not me. It's not me.
Mike is back.
I didn't do it. I just wanted to come.
But she'll put that qualifying mark in one shot and walk her butt right back onto the team bus and get ready for the final. Like it's so cool when she does it.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'll see you in the final, then we can really get it popping.
Yeah.
Like, hello. I always wonder back in 2014, 2015, whether all the 400 women, Francine versus Natasha versus Allison's versus Sonia's, get along. So any rivalry with all 4 of y'all? I heard back then there were cat fights between y'all.
Cat fight? We want all the tea and the shade, hunty.
Were y'all going toe to toe?
There was no fight. There was no cat fight.
But y'all weren't singing. I would say y'all weren't singing "Kumbaya" together, and I think that's okay. You don't have to like love each other and walk hand in hand to the final.
We're like really trying to get into.
I'm just saying like, okay. This is your question. What I'm saying is some people can be Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Magic could be friends with his competitors. Ooh, give me shoulders. Give me waist. What's a waist?
High fashion pose.
What's a waist? What I'm saying is that some people can be Magic and they're joking with people and having a good time. Some people are Larry Bird and they're like, in order to beat you, like Mike said, in order to beat Carl Lewis, he had to stop idolizing him. He could not be friends with him. And I don't think it's with men. It's like, oh, I'm just being.
They're just rivalries.
They're just about business. They're in the zone. But with women, it's cattiness, and it's like, no, we are competitors too. We are warriors as well.
She said she heard, or I don't know. I think it was Yanika who asked the question. Said that they heard we had a cat fight.
But I want to know if y'all really got it. You were throwing some nails.
There was no cat fight.
Mm-hmm.
I do always say that it's very interesting. The 4x4 itself is an interesting situation, if you will, because we spend the year being competitors, and then this one time or a couple of times throughout the year, we have to be a team. What I will say, there was no beef.
Yeah.
I think transparency, we got silver. We didn't win. And I think some people deal with, not performing, not getting gold differently than others.
Yeah.
But there was no beef. I do remember seeing comments. I do remember seeing like photos of us, like how some of us looked versus the other in our post-race interview. I can speak for myself personally. I remember I ran the second leg and Allison was third, or maybe I was third to
Yeah.
Francina.
Yeah. Allison's always second.
No, Allison was third,
She was
and I'll
third?
tell you why. Because Sonia was lead off, I
Mhm.
was second leg, and I remember I just held on for dear life. I watched Allison's leg, and when the race was over, there's this picture that there's a picture of me and Allison, and I'm like, I grab onto Allison, and I won't say what I said because there was an expletive in there, but I was like, "You are the goat." And
That was the fastest relay split of all time.
It was. I don't know that it was the fastest relay split of all time. I just know that she put us back in the race.
She ran something
She
so
ran
stupid, like
47. And
I
it wasn't until we got to the post race interview that we actually found out what the split was. And I remember me, I think this is what kind of set things off because I was just excited. Like, I know she did something stupid. I know she ran something stupid. And when we got the confirmation, I was like, see, I told you. But some of us still also disappointed that like we got the silver. So then it turned into like this, oh, Team USA, blah, blah, blah. They're not a team and whatever, whatever. And it was just like, no, some of us were, celebrating different things. Some of us were a little disappointed. Of course, we wanted gold.
Mhm.
But I was just kind of I watched Allison's leg and I was like she blew that thing out. So
And I wasn't saying like when I say y'all weren't singing Kumbaya holding, like I'm not saying there was beef. I
well,
want to
no,
make that very clear.
not even so much
I'm
what
saying
you were
it's like
saying.
sometimes they expect us as competitors to be like, oh, we're braiding each other's hair and texting each other in the group chat, and like sometimes it's like we're here to handle our business, and like I don't have to be your best friend to do
Charmaine,
that.
Allison was third. She smoked McPherson and Jackson smoked Natasha. I'm telling you, I held on for dear life on that relay. Like
Not Jackson, like Natasha.
she did. I listen. That was also the year that Jackson, like, this was like her first, like, she medaled in the final, and going into the final, I was like, guys, this is not going to be a cakewalk. Allison won the 400. Phyllis, I think, came like fifth or sixth. But the Jamaicans had a medal. The two Jamaicans finished strong.
Phyllis wasn't on that team.
There she was.
She wasn't on the final.
She wasn't on the final.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm just like talking about the places.
Oh, okay.
And so seeing how Jamaica finished in the 400, I was like, this 4x4 is not going to be easy. And Allison, I mean, I was just like, girl, you are a bad MFer. But there was no beef. There was no cat fight. None of that's true.
Cecelia and her twin are gonna come on. That is amazing.
Okay, come on, Cecelia. We're ready for you.
My dad has a question. Bruce C.
Should the U.S. government provide financial support for the elite athletes and compensate them for getting on the medal stand like other countries do?
So the U.S. government does provide some sort of funding for us throughout the year. If you're in the tier system, so to break, basically based on your performance, there's a tier system: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Fun fact: I had like just not competed well, like 16, 15, because I hadn't made the team. And I got kicked out of the tier system. So I wasn't getting funding, but for some reason my insurance was still working. So shout out to the USOC.
I think there is funding, but it's not comparable to other countries where, like, in the USA, we are dependent on our shoe contracts.
Yes.
Where in other countries, if you're in the top whatever, your funding from the government is enough for you to live off of and train off of.
And
I think
they do pay for medals, but they don't pay for you if you're like on the team. Like I think they should do that.
Has to be considered is per capita. Like there's a lot of us on top on Team USA.
There's a lot of money.
There's a lot of
America.
money, but yeah. So
they do help us, and the healthcare.
The healthcare is a huge one.
Is great.
Yeah.
But I'm never gonna say don't give us more money. Don't give the athletes more money. Like if y'all can find a way, do it.
I will say the healthcare is so good that, like, people have insurance and have babies and still have like a $5,000-$10,000 hospital bill. I call the insurance, like, do I have a bill? They were like, nope, everything's covered.
Maybe I should have my baby today.
So the
Yes.
healthcare is clutch. You got to pay taxes on it, but it's
minimal
it's
compared to
yeah,
like the copay being
yeah.
like, because
Um
Flo be ordering MRIs and CAT scans. Um, was it clear to anyone that
Yanika is like
Unica, what was in your coffee this morning?
right. Chose violence this morning. I'm just while we get Cecelia on the screen, I'm just looking to see if um
Do you think the support for women will carry beyond the Olympics? I know for me it will. That's a question you got to ask yourself, Nicole. It's up to y'all to care about us, but I feel like we're gonna keep trying to do this show past the Olympics because there's stories outside every 4 years, um, and to get people really like. I love bringing our guests on and getting to know the person because I think part of being a fan is being a fan of the human being because you can root for someone because of I feel like you when you have emotional connection, it's easier to root for someone, and especially with track and field, where it's like when we walk onto the track, we're team Nike, we're team Adidas, we're team who, we're not like the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's like even if I don't know this person, I'm rooting for them because they're for my team, they're from my hometown. We don't have that connection, and you'd have to actually do research to know I'm from California. So if
mhm,
you're a California girl, maybe you root for me. But it's
mhm.
like I think telling our stories is where people's really gonna be in love with not just the women, but the men. But like shout out to the women.
Yeah, I think a number of reasons, a number of things. We need to continue to get the viewership, the support from our supporters, the fans, the people who watch. Also, we talk a lot about taking up space and we kind of just throw that out there, but I always say, and this is like a good segue into it, like being the time to be a woman, to be a mom in the sport. For me, my experience with having a child was not like Allison or
Mhm.
Quinera or even Nia Ali. Um, when I made the phone call to say, "Hey, I'm pregnant and I'm not competing this year," my sponsor was like, "Oh my God, congratulations! Why didn't you tell us sooner?" And I
Mhm.
always say that my phone call was like that because I made the phone call to a woman. And
Mm.
so, what I talked about earlier this week, we need more women in this space telling our stories. We need more women in the space of being in control of our contracts, signing us to these agencies. And it's not that we're not qualified; we just need to be in those spaces
Yeah, because
in
a
order
man's
to
not gonna think
advocate
about
and
maternity
elevate.
leave because he
Exactly,
doesn't have to take it.
exactly.
And how you brought up, I still can't get over it. Like I still can't think of a photographer out on the track.
Mhm.
Um,
Um,
I don't know because when I'm thinking about Nike, well, here's the thing: Nike has the greatest proportion of athletes,
mhm,
and so I'm trying to think of like, can, you're an Under Armour athlete, but
mhm,
I'm like Nia's Nike, Allison's Nike, and Nia
mhm,
actually and I feel like this is a lot of due to the work that Allison did. Like Mia is now the face of Nike M, and so is what's her name from she's
from the Great
a
Britain,
mm-hmm.
Perry Shake Straighten.
Yes,
Mhm.
they both are the face of Nike's
Their
maternity
maternity.
line. Because I think Nike realized what like this is a huge issue. This is half of our population, or half of the population is women or
More
women,
than half,
more
but
than half. You're
mhm,
right. And a good portion of those women were going to be pregnant, and a lot of those women are going to be pregnant working out.
mhm.
Um, Fun fact: my mom actually did like she had when she had my sister, she did like a little workout film. What's
Mhm.
it called? One of those like tapes
Oh,
that
really?
she did, and she did.
Come on, mom,
Lena
with
was
the
working.
I guess speaking of women, we see Shakari up here.
Is Cecilia coming in?
I think she's on Chrome. I think she's coming in, but we'll see Shakari at the Prefontaine in a couple of weeks. She'll be back on the track.
We'll be reporting on what happens with that. I'm excited to see Shakiri back in form. Well, she's never out of form, back in competition.
Charmaine, I would venture to guess she just kept quiet because I can't imagine that the likes of Allison, Alicia Montano, all of these other athletes had such poor experiences with their pregnancy and their sponsors. and Shelly Ann just went totally unscathed. But it's
Can I
up to her to
can
tell
I
that story.
can I offer a devil's advocate?
Sure.
Nike's Nike, but there's like Nike Jamaica, and like, how do I put this? The importance of track and field and mommy rocket to Jamaica itself as a country compared to our top athletes in the United States, like there's a difference in like the weight that they carry in their country. Does that make sense? So her experience might have been different just because of like where she runs. Are you getting what I'm saying?
I get what you're
I'm just it
saying, but
might
I
be I'm
don't.
not and I'm just speculating. I'm just a
I'm
devil's
not. I'm
advocate.
not speculating. I didn't have. I just don't want to put their business out. But
Well, there we go.
I don't know that. That.
Thoughts on secure choice of coaching team?
Um.
None of my business. None of my business.
Is Cecelia going to be joining us?
I need Cecelia. I need to see what Cecelia looks like because Cecelia has been with us almost from day one, from the not
Sometimes.
from the start. Not from the
Sometimes she's
start.
on time. Sometimes she's a little bit late.
But what I
that's
love about
okay.
Cecelia is like she's like, can you run it back? I know you're in the middle of a show, but can we re-talk about what I came on here to talk about? But you know, we were talking to Jackie yesterday, and we were talking to Sandra, and we were like, "You are the shoulders that we stand on." And I really had to commend Allison because she's also a set of shoulders.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
she literally said, "I'm going to go and take this fight so that women athletes everywhere don't have to worry about it."
Mhm.
Also, speaking of shoe companies, Seisha's first gold medal.
Yeah.
Many more to come. I can't wait for her to start sponsoring other athletes
Yeah.
and like. But Seish is Seisha's Allison's shoe company. If you haven't bought a pair, you should.
You know, the argument about dads needing parental leave is an interesting one because it's one of those things that sucks, right? Because factually and actually, in order for women to get the respect and the maternity leave that we need,
You
it's,
need men.
it's gonna take men getting that leave.
I think men need paternity leave in that fact that like yes, it's great for like the development and the bond that they have with their child. I think that's extremely important.
Hmm.
But what I will say is that women have another reason why they need maternity leave, and is that they are physically recovering,
Hmm.
and also there's the physical demand of like their baby needing nutrients from their body. Because I always say I think it's so weird that you walk around and then one day you just produce beverages because you're a woman.
Speaking of which, this morning I was leaking, and Kori was like, "Are you like, yes, 2 years in the game and still leaking?"
Look,
But
you see, you get mad at me for putting your business out there. Look at you. But what I'm saying is that because I've been learning so much this year thanks to TikTok of like what I don't think they tell women the risks that like
that's associated with
I knew
childbirth.
some of the things, but I didn't know you could go blind. I didn't know it could trigger cancer. I didn't know you could be paralyzed. All these things from childbirth, and I'm like, what?
Hmm.
And they don't. I feel like they don't tell us, so we'll keep having these.
Hmm.
But what? But yes, men should have paternity leave. But like, what?
Yeah. Nobody told me I would be peeing myself.
I think I knew that,
I,
but
I didn't know that. Like I knew it, but like when I went back to training, it was like, wait, hold
well,
up.
you stayed peeing yourself because at 10 after those 4 times, those 400.
All
Oh,
right, Cecilia's trying to get back in, but
there was a
while we're
question.
talking about the moms, shout out to Allison, Quinera, Shelly, Valerie of Australia. There were a ton of moms out there. There
I
was a
looked at
mom
a
in the
list.
marathon.
I looked at a list. Don't forget Brittany Reese because she has an
Brittany
adopted
Reese.
child
Yeah.
that she raises. Yes, maybe if they do it for both parents, it will make it more available to one too. But I just kind of I want men to get.
Valerie Adams, New Zealand. Thank you for
Yes.
correcting me.
I keep trying to say I'm not so yes. Everyone is welcome.
You saw another question?
Yeah, for my father.
Oh.
Why is it that other sports like golf and NASCAR are able to have multiple sponsors, but track and field athletes are limited?
The thing is,
The thing
Rachel,
is,
yes, if you can switch to Chrome, the platform prefers Chrome. The thing is, once upon a time, and I
not.
wish we would have like tapped into Jackie about this. Jackie jumped from McDonald's.
She had Crest because of her meat style. Was it Crest? Is Colgate? She had a. She
One
had
of
a.
them. Once upon a time, track and field athletes had sponsors like all up and down their body. Like it was like Mike Conley has talked to us about this, where it's like you're selling ad space basically on your body. Um, and then somehow something happened where it's like you're only allowed to have a shoe contract.
And even the shoe
Your sponsors
contracts,
has to be like a registered club,
and even the shoe, like the logo has to
has to be
be
a
a certain
certain
size.
size.
Because like I would wear like a headband that had a Jumpman on, and they would make me flip it inside out because a Jumpman is so much. It's like a bigger logo because
Mhm.
it's a whole man on a swoosh or like 3 stripes, and they're like it's too big, and I'm like, it's
Mhm.
just 2 inches.
That made me think of another question that my mom actually asked. While we were one of the nights while we were watching the meets, I had my mom taking the notes because I was braiding my son's hair. Um, yes, we do our research and take notes over here. My mom was my secretary for a night, but anyway, she's taking notes for me, and I can't remember what event it was, but they showed like the athletes going into the call room, and my mom was like, "What are they checking your bags for?" She was like, "I'm putting that in the notes. You guys need to answer that question tomorrow."
They checked.
We didn't get to it,
You
but
have to
yeah.
have your right bib number. They check your spikes to make sure they're like legal. Like I said, they will check anything that has sponsors
Mhm.
on.
No
No
electronics.
electronics can even come into the mix zone. And you have a water bottle, but that's about it as far as checking. Speaking of your mom, if you are here, because the other day, Joanne said,
Nicole said I was trying to figure it out because it's like TSA. It really
it
is.
is.
It
They
is.
don't play. But shout out to your mom because she was saying that we only had like 50 people on the live, and then she promoted it on her Facebook, and our numbers like doubled for people in the live. So if you are here because of Joanne Hastings, we thank you. Shout out to Joanne as our influencer marketing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start paying her.
Yeah, we really do.
I
But
can't.
Dad, you are right when it comes to sponsors. Things change. Look at the NBA. I think that part of it is like it's so hard to unionize as athletes, with as track athletes because we're international,
Mhm.
and then also like if I'm the Lakers and LeBron James as well, I do well.
Mhm.
If I'm in a training group and someone is in my training group and they do well, I don't do well, and actually I might do worse because they might be in my same bit. So I think sometimes hard to get us to be like, let's all for the common good come together, figure out how to get things done,
I
like
think
Edwin Moses did back
also
in the day.
because when your dad brings up like the NBA and stuff, it, our level of exposure is limiting too, right? As we move into social media, you and I can both speak about having like social media presence, but basketball is on TV a lot, where it's not that LeBron can wear those logos in a basketball game because the NBA sponsors own that ad space, right?
Mhm.
But LeBron James being on TV however many times per week, per month, that brand is still getting that exposure because the athlete is on TV. And as we've been discussing, I think someone's joining us.
Is this Rachel or is
Hi.
this Cecelia?
Yep, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
My thought, and then we'll get to your question.
Yeah, you're good.
But I think that when we talk about there's limited TV opportunities and limited domestic competitions, there's limited sponsorship or exposure for sponsors in order for the sponsorship to make sense. Because when we talk about Mike Connolly and Jackie, and they had like those, what do they call it, the Olympic festivals, where they're going
Mhm.
into the grassroots and going into the
Track was
areas.
way more in the public space.
They would have jump offs in the mall. Like there were a lot more events. creating more ad space for these.
And athletes are showing up and doing those things
Exactly.
because Gail, heard the story. Gail strained her hamstring. Said also compete just in the 4x4. Hi, Rachel.
All right, Rachel.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great. First of all, before you even get started, the skin
popping, glowing.
perfection. We love it.
I think honestly, okay, so like when you guys hear like women are doing like a big chop and then like everything changes, I think that's what happened to me. So I had braids for the longest and I was like, you know what, I need something different. So back in February, I chopped it and I don't think I'm ever gonna go back. And then I just recently dyed it. You probably can't see because of my lighting, but yeah. So
the big chop. I've never done a big chop. I just let my like raggedy curls eventually get them self information. But you did a big chop. Had them blonde, the little blonde pixie cut. Rachel, what's your question?
Number one, I'm nervous as hell, so please forgive me.
We can't even tell. So.
Cool. Okay. So it's kind of like a two-part question. But the first one I'm gonna try to obviously make sense. So when you guys started track and like signed your professional contracts and whatnot, basically just a boundaries question. Was it hard for you to set boundaries with like family members or like friends, for example? So y'all spaces are already like, child, let me tell you. But for example, like if it's like a graduation, a birthday party, and you're like, no, I have training, like were they like accepting of it or were they like, bro, like it's only track? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
My family has always been incredibly like understanding. It was like sometimes friends that maybe might have an issue, but very early on, most of my friends are, if they're not from track, they're from other sports. So it was like they kind of understood. And if you didn't understand, and you weren't really my friend. And then as far as like signing my contract and boundaries, like I'm still broke. I don't have no money.
Yeah. Support track. Sin of all this money today. I would say it's a two-part question because my family is incredibly supportive of me. But I do think that, and my dad's I do think that there are times when, not that they don't respect what I do, but like track has been something I've done since I have been a kid. And there are some differences in being a professional athlete and being a,
playing in the sandbox.
Exactly. And so sometimes they're like, well, we've always hung out with you at the meet court. And I'm like, not at the Olympic trial.
Yeah.
But my family has actually, shout out to my family because I feel like they have all rallied around me to be like, Kori can't do X, Y, and Z, so I will step in and do this for her because she's overseas and she can't handle this. And like my sisters have become like my managers, my dad actually negotiated my contract because he's a lawyer. So like, and my mom, she sends lots of prayer. So I think they've all kind of contributed in wherever they can get in and fit in to help me be a better athlete. Yes, and when it comes to contract, they don't care about my little 2 cents I make.
Yeah. I do want to say, and I always speak very highly of my mom. I'm about to kind of throw her under the
Don't
bus.
talk about my mother like that.
But there was, when you talk about, and our families are a little bit different in that, like I came from my mom and dad were in track, so I come from an athletic family. There was a point where I kind of had to, put a little bass in my voice and tell my mom, like, we're at this track meet. No, I'm not getting you your cup of coffee. You can go get your cup of coffee yourself.
Mom, I'll get you your coffee.
I didn't say it quite like that, but like, because there is a space that I go into that I need to go into when it's time to do a job. And it's like, well, can you go get me this cup of coffee? And I'm like, but the coffee's right there. I gotta run later on today. Go get your cup of coffee.
I think
no, I can't stay in the hotel room with me. I'm irritable right now. If I snap at you, it ain't my fault. It's your fault. So it did take learning that. But once we all figured it out, and I was able to verbalize it, because there was a point where I didn't even know that was what I was doing and who I was becoming. But once I was able to verbalize it and able to set that boundary, as you said, it was easy peasy.
Because I think when we are in a competitive space, we have to be very selfish. And it's like, I can't be the best sister, best daughter to you right now and be the best athlete. And once they realize like, oh, hey, like Kori's just in competition. No, she's not actually a terrible human being. It became easier. I'm still, my family
You're
was
still a
still,
little crazy, but
and you know what the other thing is, I'm not special in my family. Let me make that very clear. My
same.
family very much will humble me. During the pandemic, I was my sister's nanny. I was I was taking care of my niece and nephew from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. They were like, as soon as track season's over, and my sister's like, "Oh, you're in town? Get to work."
Yeah.
Like, so it's a balance. There's
What's
a
your
time.
other question? Because we could go on and on for
Yes,
days.
yes.
No, you're good. I'll so somebody else can jump on. Like I'll leave my second question off. I did want to say, Natasha. So I commented on one of your posts. It was like a couple weeks ago when you ran at Marietta. So that was the first time that I was like, I'm Rachel. So that was the first time that I saw you in person. But that reminded me, I think you were coming like up the stands and you passed by me, but you had your game face on. I was like, let me not bother her. Let me not say hi because I'm not trying to get cussed out. But like, I get it. You guys have to be in that zone. And like, God forbid, I'm the person to like disrupt that or like, yeah. So I get it.
Well, thank you for
And
respecting
Natasha would have cussed you out.
that. No,
Like,
no,
like she's actually a nice person. If she can deal with me, she can deal with anyone. I'm telling you.
this is true.
I have a question for Rachel about the skincare routine though, for real.
I mean, currently,
She's like she's one of those
Like, this is
water and
genetic.
just a little coconut oil and that's it. Get off, Rachel.
honestly, yeah, it's water. I could run to my bathroom to grab what I use for like my daily wash. But I'm also cleaning up my diet. I'm a track and field trainer as well, so I think just cleaning up my diet, getting a new nutritionist, and kind of working with them has been wonders for me. So losing weight and acne has been awesome.
Oh, did you ask your was that comment to Natasha your second question, or did you get to ask your second question? Ask
No,
your second question.
do you want me to ask the second question? Okay, cool. I didn't know if I had time or not, if it was like a one-off thing. Okay, bye, next person. So this is more I mean, I just want to be respectful of everybody's time. But this is more so to Natasha, but Kori also you can chime in. So with mental health and stuff, I actually want to go back to this school in the future to get my degree in clinical psychology, basically like sports psychology, etc. So I just wanted to ask you, Natasha, I feel like you've kind of mentioned this before, so sorry if you have to repeat yourself, but like what inspired you to like go like pursue that degree? And then I guess a question for both of you, if you've had or if you've worked with sports psychologists before, like how has that been for you, I guess holistically on and off the track?
I don't think you ever answered that question.
I'm not here. So here we go. Yes, I have had experience with sports psychologists through my career. The first time was probably in college, but my coach sent me to the sports psychologist more out of I'd been dealing with just like he was like, you need to go talk to someone. I am a child of divorce, and I think those things affect us more than we realize or care to realize. And I've always been intrigued with like, why do we make the choices that we make? Why do we respond to certain things in the way that we respond? Um, Throughout my professional career, I had another experience with a sports psychologist. And then 2020, my son was 5 months old, and my son's father and I broke up. And it was 6 weeks before our wedding. And my mom looked to me and she was like, I don't know what you're going to do, but what you need to do is get into some therapy. And so my sports psychologist in college was a Black man. My sports psychologist that I actually credit with like turning my professional career around is a white man. I made the conscious effort to Google Black female therapists in Austin, Texas. With this particular experience, I wanted to sit across from someone that I could relate to, someone that, especially going through this breakup, like, I'm raising a Black boy. It was in the middle of Black Lives Matter. And it was just like, I remember sitting down in our first session and she was like, what do you need? But I was like, what do I need? Like, I'll never consider what I need. I'm always like trying to make everybody else happy. I'm always like, you're supposed to tell me what I need. And so I sat there for a few weeks. And as most of you know, I also have a nonprofit, the Natasha Hastings Foundation, where I work with girls. And just sitting there every week and the epiphanies that I would have. I'd sit there and kiki with her. I look forward to therapy every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Um, I was like, man, I feel like this is the space that I need to move into, especially when I Googled Black female therapists. It was difficult. And like doing more research and seeing that like we truly are not in this space. And as a woman of a minority, a woman in sports, it's like we need to change the stigma around mental health. And then the pandemic hit, the games were postponed. I was like, well, I guess God is saying go back to school and study for, clinical mental health and go on to be a counselor. And so my goal is to be a sports counselor. I still don't know if I'm going to do the doctorate thing, um, but I want to be a sports counselor and I want to also be a counselor for women and girls of minority backgrounds because we truly need to fill that space and remove the stigma around mental health in our communities.
And to piggyback on what you said, if you're looking for a Black woman therapist, there's a website called therapyforblackgirls.com, and they have a comprehensive list across the nation
I
of
literally
Black
sent
women,
that list to my best friend yesterday.
Black women therapists. I've worked with like not extensively, but I've talked to some sports sites. I couldn't relate to the one that I went to when I was like but I've read a lot of sports psychology books. I feel like that's been helpful with me. That and like to say this, but not that I hate to say this, but I'm like that in Jesus has been really helpful for my mental. But I don't say I hate to do this because I love Jesus. It's more so like there's a stigma in the Black community that you don't need help. You can just turn to
pray
Jesus.
about it. Yeah.
That helped me with things I was going through. But like if you, God also created therapists, so therapy is also good.
I think. And sorry, this is your portion, but
It's
I
fine.
thought about something too, where we hear that a lot, like just pray about it, right? But also faith without work, it doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? And so I can pray about it, but if I don't have the tools to work on it, and that's what therapy is. It's not a therapist telling you what to do. It's a therapist giving you the tools to work through said situation or whatever it is that you're working with. So your faith is still necessary, but the work to get through that is necessary.
I think of the same as like God is the ultimate healer, but you are still going to take your butt to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with your mind. Like there's no shame in going to the doctor. There should be no shame in going to a therapist. But that
mental health is physical health.
That part. I always say like athletes always talk like mental is 90% of the game. It's like, well, do you work on it 90% of the time? How many hours do you spend training and how many hours do you spend meditating, talking to someone, figuring things out, working on your mental game? So, yes.
I'm glad you asked that question. And you were trying to scurry out of here.
No, I'm shy, so like this is a lot. But you guys are so like personal and stuff. So like I appreciate just giving me the time to ask 2 questions. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think for me, just realizing the lack thereof. So I live in Georgia, like outside of Atlanta, and like Atlanta is a pretty poppin' place. So there's Black therapists here and there, but especially like in the sports psychology field, maybe one, and that's it. So that's kind of what was driving me as well. But yeah, I totally agree.
Who is this? Hold on. Give me a second to Google.
We're running out of time. We got 20 minutes.
All right,
Thank you, Rachel. I think Cecelia wants to come on.
Okay.
Thank you. All the best to you. Go back to school and get that degree. We need more of us in the space.
For sure. Take care.
Bye.
She works at USC, the
yes.
sports doctor, and
the
she's a Black lady. She's so
yeah,
and I was trying to find her name.
I've worked with her on the road too.
Yeah, I've worked with her like not like on like let's work through some things, but just on like I'm in the training room, let's have a conversation, and it ends up being like, oh, you tell me something great.
No, we're not skipping you. Come on, Cecelia.
I love how you're right at the same time.
Come on, join the party.
Cecelia has been our like day one from an hour late, but yeah, I need Cecelia to come on. Cecelia, we've been through such a journey together, Cecelia. You know what time we're on. I need to figure out what's her name because she needs a shout out.
She's coming. Hey, girl.
It's Cecelia, y'all. Let's do it, Anna.
Oh yes.
Whew, okay, I'm excited. I'm hot.
Okay. Oh my god. I can't believe I made it on here. Thank you. My twin sister gave me her laptop so I can get on.
Thank
Shout
you.
out
It's
to
been like, yeah, she's the only person. She's the reason I got on here. She told me, you have to get on. You have been trying all this time, screaming in this house. Get on this thing. So thanks for her laptop. I'm here.
All right, let's get into it.
Actually, the question I had was based on something she had said to me. We were discussing track and field. I'm kind of trying to get my thoughts together because this is so exciting being on here. I've been watching you guys. Even when I can't watch live, I will go back and I will rewatch everything, all 2 hours. I love this. I love what you guys are doing for the show and whatnot, especially the mental health stuff. Oh my goodness. Anyway.
I love
the
Cecelia
excitement.
because
Yes.
this is the energy I have.
Okay.
Also,
That's what
you're
part
so
of the reason why I
cool.
love you. Oh, thank you. You guys, I look like a mess. I just got back from running, so
No, if you got a mess, I want to see you at your best.
we'll see about that. Anyhow, you guys remind me of my twin and I. Seriously, our energy is so similar. It's crazy. So watching you guys makes my day.
Flat, like let me.
Your twin is chill, and I love it. We're gonna have to have the twin on next. We're gonna have to have a tea party.
I'm trying to tell her, but she's like, no, she won't go on. She's like, you can do it for both of us. So
Okay.
All right. Well, what's your question?
okay, so in watching the track events and seeing all the records, she was doing her research. I'm not the researching person, but she is. And she noted that it said somewhere that the Tokyo track itself is faster. And I kind of wanted your guys' take on that because I don't know if you mentioned it at all in previous track girl summer stuff, but I looked up a little bit myself and it did say that this track is springier or something like that, so it makes it faster. And my conspiracy theory is, I think it said somewhere it was developed in Italy and the Italian won the race. And if Italy is doing so much better than track and field, I'm like, hold up, I got a conspiracy theory and that's it. So that was my thing. I just want to ask you guys your take on it and if any of that's true, or am I just reading some random stuff on the internet?
First of all, let me just say I love that is your question because it was actually on our agenda today.
We always be vibing.
Of like, let's see if we can get to this topic.
Yeah, so it's a Mondo track. Everyone loves running on a Mondo track. We don't like training on a Mondo track because that's how you get injured because your body can't handle that. But apparently, according to Mondo, they designed the track specifically for Tokyo. I think it was a $1.5 billion track. Is that number up or is it million?
It sounds about right. Probably million.
1.5 million?
I think million sounds.
Million, not billion. 1.5 million. Dollars. It is down force responses. So if you think I'm putting force every time I put force on the ground, I'm getting 2% back. That means I can work less. And get more back. Mm-hmm. So that might be, especially for like, I think when you the hurdles, like that, the amount of force you're actually having enough time to be like, I keep 2% over 100 meters. Mm-hmm. You may not see that big of a drop. Over 400 meters, you will see that drop. Yeah. But like at the higher distance, I'm not sure how much that would affect with the distance. So I think that's probably why we're seeing really good 400 times.
I think it's interesting because I think it's a combination of things because not only is the Mondo track in Tokyo faster, which, interestingly enough, I was one of those people. I probably do this because I don't want to like get into the track is fast. People would always ask me, did it feel fast? And it's like, it's a track.
Yeah.
But the athletes have been coming back saying like, no, it's really bouncy, giving you a lot back. There's also the added super shoes. There are the shoes that
marathon
are making people, as you said, like you exert a little bit less energy, so you're able to go through the rounds and run faster. So
and I've trained in the vapor flat place because I'll do it like during a long. I don't like it. I don't feel secure when I'm trying to do curves or hurdle stuff. I don't feel it. But when you're running, you do feel like, I hit the ground and I just like I just kind of fall for it, and it puts you. I feel like it puts you in the right position to run quickly.
Yeah, Usain Bolt has gone on the record saying he doesn't believe the super shoes are fair. He doesn't give the athletes an unfair advantage. So but it's one of the things that like we were discussing before getting on the show that like, does this mean like track and field goes here? Because
Yeah, because I don't want us to get to NASCAR where it's like, if you have, because I've heard like the concern of being like, if I don't have this, I may not be as competitive. And so like I have time, I can
that has happened. Under Armour had a few of their athletes, because Under Armour does not have access to the technology as yet. And there were a few athletes that decided to leave Under Armour, go to other shoe companies to have access to those shoes so that they could feel like they had a fair shot. So
But I also think like history has shown like technology is always going to back and forth. Because back when Jesse Owens was running, they would dig into the dirt track, like we're talking about bad practice, the track is some dirt, and they would dig little hole divots, and that would be your blocks.
yeah, and they ran on grass tracks, and now we're running on Mondo, and like so yes, the Mondo track is fast. There's also the super shoes to consider. And track is just going to keep getting faster and faster.
Yeah, I feel like they're always trying to come up with something, whether it's sweat wicking, fabric, like I think companies are always going to try to push the envelope so that athletes can perform better, and also so that you will buy their product,
right?
Because you're like, I want to be great. I'll get these great shoes or this sweat wicking bra.
Did that answer your question, or did we go rogue?
Yes, that totally answered my question. I have no problems with the track. I personally would love to just feel it a little bit if I was ever on it. Not that I'm not fast, but it would make me feel like I was a little fast, so that's kind of cool. But the shoes, I would agree that maybe if it's not available to everybody based on affordability and whatnot, but a track, you can all run on that. You're all racing the same race in the same track. So,
Very good
yeah.
point.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your continued support.
Yes, absolutely, of course. And if you guys ever do a meet cute video about how you two actually met, the real story, I don't know if Kori was telling the truth about that meeting. It didn't sound like it was the truth. So I would love it if you guys ever do a meet cute video, Q&A, whatever. The fans want to know.
Okay. All right, we can work on it.
Okay, so I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. This is making my day. So have a great rest of the year. What?
But speaking of meet cute, we had planned to talk about how Track Girl Summer came about. And I think it kind of reminds me how Jackie was talking about, like, she was in this dark place, and like her doing her foundation work. And granted, we're not doing charity work, but like it has helped us bring her out of a dark space.
Yeah.
And I feel like
you and I were both training to be in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we ended up on this couch instead.
Yeah.
But
and I always say, like, I know you're into mental health, but I see myself as a human doing, not a human being. I like to be active. My self-care is like staying busy and learning new things and doing activities. And when I didn't make the team, I was in a light depression, to some slight, and this show gave me something to do, and it's funny because I'm like, and I think that I'm not at the Olympics, even though all we do is talk about the Olympics. But it gave me like purpose and passion, and I'm glad I was doing it with you, Natasha.
Oh, I'm glad I was doing it with you too. We're gonna hold hands. Yeah, the last time I didn't make the Olympics in 2012, I could. This time, I think my emotional maturity is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do feel like we were able to take something and make nothing and make it into something. When I didn't make the team, there was and still is this like odd sense of peace. I remember any other time that like I fell short, it was like the world was coming to an end. And I was just kind of like, well, I know I'm going to school in the fall, but I don't know what else is going to happen. But, I'll just be still and wait for God to tell me what's next. And we decided to turn on the camera, and it was like, when are you guys going live again? We need comments on this. We need.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we're sitting up here working on a business plan.
Yeah, and it's funny because my mom was like, if I'm gonna be honest, I've been mad at God. Just because I'm like, I do all the right things. I'm doing
Mhm.
things. And my mom said, when I named it this, she goes, God's gonna open up a door bigger than you could even imagine. And I don't know where Track Girl Summer's going, but I feel like we're very committed to doing something. And I know me and I know you. When we are committed to doing something, we do it. So Track Girl Summer is not going to die after this. And I see us taking it to another level. But yeah, it was like, it's funny when people always ask you like, what are you gonna do after? What are your passions outside, hobbies outside of track? And I'm like, I don't know, like hang with my dog, or like, what do you want to do outside of track? I'm like, I don't know, like I know I'm very like, not to do my mom, I'm smart. I can literally do anything I put my mind to. I think I'm an amateur everything, but everything feels like a job.
Mhm.
And like track and field, I was just like living out my dream. And this is like the one thing that I'm like, I don't want to say I'm done with track at all, but I'm saying like this is the one thing that I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying it, and that like we joke all the time about how we haven't gone to sleep, but I don't really care because it's
I
like
ain't gonna say
fun.
that.
Well, I'm saying if
Because I like sleep.
I do well, what I'm saying is if any other job asked you to work this hard, we would have been quit because I'm not. There's nothing else that I would be like. I'm only getting 3 hours of sleep, and I'm
And to do
excited
it
to do
the
it.
way that we did it, like I'm sorry, y'all. I don't train 13 days in a row.
Yeah,
There is a break somewhere.
but what else would
And
you have done
we
like
woke up
this?
every day and was like, I'm dog tired, and we're live. Welcome to Track Girl Summer.
And I think y'all know I'm a thug, and I feel like you guys have seen me getting emotional. But I think part of it was like I said, I was on light depression. But like, it's funny. Allison texted me this morning, and she's like, "I'm proud of you for like turning your disappointment from being injured into something like into like having to shining in a new way." But I think one of the reasons why I've been getting so emotional is like everyone has been like, yes, like we'll come on your show. Like my biggest heroes were like, yeah, we'll come on your show. You guys have been coming in and being like so kind to us and
Seriously.
watching us and like doing this little project that we had in like we sat here on this couch and we like shook hands and we're like we're gonna do this thing.
We
And
shook hands, but what we really shook hands on is our friendship
yes,
comes first.
yes.
That no matter what happens with this, our friendship will not be affected by.
And it's been testy, like the 29 points to 26. I don't know if I can still Tosh friend after this. But it's like
I like giving butt
there's
whoopings.
just been so much love coming at us our way, and I think also as athletes, when we fail, we feel like disappointment, and we also feel like we've let people down. And for people to be like, we like what you're doing, we appreciate it.
And when you think about it, like, so shout out to everyone who has come on and talked to us, right? But like, when I slid in Edwin Moses's DMs,
He said, "Here's my number."
Gail Devers, Mike Powell, Jackie Joyner Kersey, like, for these living legends we didn't even get to like what was our favorite moment here on the couch. Like the idea.
I know your favorite moment.
Is it my favorite moment or is it your favorite moment for me?
It's my favorite moment for you, and it's also your favorite moment. And when Jackie Joyner said, I looked into your eyes and I knew you were going to be great.
That was it.
And I was sitting there like, what about when you saw me, Jackie?
That was it.
Did you see greatness for me too?
But when Moses texted me back and said, ask Kori if blah 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 after you called him out, it was like, you said you don't remember me, but he was like, oh wait, yeah, I do remember you. But let's get back on track. But
I would love to be Jackie Joyner's chosen favorite.
No. Allison is her favorite, but she showed me some love. But no, I don't think we imagined Track Girl Summer for this 13 days to be what it was, and to be what it's going to continue to be. We are going to continue to bring you just magic.
Hot fire.
Yeah, and I mean for Jackie, Edwin, Gail, for all of them to love what we're doing,
Sandra,
to
give us a
understand
freaking fashion
Sandra,
show.
haute couture, fashion show in track and field. I think that what sets us apart, and you know, we're unapologetically blackity black women. We're giving a different perspective that we're not seeing in sport, and we're giving the perspective of the athlete, but we're also giving the perspective of the colored athletes, and you know, relating to a lot of the statements and protests that the athletes are going through. And so, um, we got a lot more yeses
I thought you,
than nos.
yeah.
Like to ask these people, like, hey,
I'm gonna say there's one no, and that one no wants to come on the show now.
should
I'm
we
like,
should we tell
no,
them?
no, no.
No, okay.
Well, maybe we'll tell him when that person comes on.
Well, he said he's coming. He said he's coming for sure. We're trying to pair him with his favorite athlete, but we're doing the crossover. Like,
Oh no, that wasn't a no. I'm talking about. I'm talking. Look in my eyes and know who I'm talking about.
type it.
Like he might hear this and say no again.
Yeah. We gotta
We got-
make that happen. We gotta make that happen.
Just
But anyway, gosh, we don't know where Track Girl Summer is going, but we hope that you all stay on for the ride with us.
but we do know we'll be everything will be living on our YouTube page. We'll be going live from our
If you
YouTube
missed
page.
this
So
live,
there's only
mhm.
one link. You can rewatch all the things there. So Track Girl Summer on YouTube. That's where we'll be. Tell somebody, and then tell somebody else to come watch us and get a
Yeah.
part of the
Bring
Track
a
Girl Summer.
friend, bring another friend. Our
Cecelia says she's been
merchandise.
on since Tea Time Ride or Die.
Yes, Cecelia. Our merchandise is coming. Auntie messed up a little bit, and the merchandise went to the wrong
Our merchandise
address.
is in Minnesota right now.
So we're trying to track it down, but it's coming. Listen, this track, thanks to you all, Track Girl Summer has literally been a runaway train that we are just trying to catch up with. We are athletes moving into the entrepreneurial space and like really just figuring it out as we go. And here we are. But
let's wrap up the show with some thank
we're
yous.
going to wrap with thank you to our viewers. Thank you to our guests who came and showed out and made this show incredible. Thank you to our producers, World's Greatest. Am I leaving anyone out?
Yes, you are.
Our sponsors. Sorry.
Thank you to our parents.
Our parents.
Because my mom knows that we have been doing the show. And,
Oh yeah.
And like yesterday, we just like Natasha was like, oh, like mom was like, do you want groceries? And Natasha was like, oh, like wine and maybe a candy bar. And we got groceries upon groceries. And my mom was like, I sent you a little celebratory meal. So shout out to my mom for that. Shout out to my dad for being like, I'm trying to figure out everything on the back end. Shout out to Joanne for really being the resident expert here.
Right.
And shout out to Liam.
Shout out to Liam.
And shout out to my neighbors who have been watching my dog while I live here at Josh's house.
Everybody who has made this possible.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bob said this at our Airbnb 11:30 p.m. after she raced in Jacksonville, being a mom and an athlete.
I know. As a single mother myself, are you gonna cry?
I am. So
during my moment of talking about my single motherhood.
Say goodbye.
Shout out to my dog Kobe. Are you serious
Shut
right
up,
now?
Kori. Shut up. Shut up.
I'm 6'3" for whoever's asking how tall I am. Big bodied. But we'll see you guys back here Wednesday on our YouTube. I really have to potty, so we have to finish the show.
And I need to stop crying. So we love you guys. Thanks for supporting us.
And remember, no matter what time of year it is, it's always a Track Girl Summer, baby. Bye, guys.